Hello and welcome to today's video on the 29th of April 2026, and the broad focus of today's video is the covert action against Ukraine and NATO, which apparently seems to be a load of what can only be described as bullshit. I say that not because I've studied it or have been a part of it or anything along those lines. I just point to the fact that Russia is apparently using criminal elements or elements of the underworld to commit acts of basically terrorism against Ukraine, which just doesn't seem right, considering that Ukraine is the one employing as much destabilisation in the Russian general staff as it can pull off. Assaults, murders, bombings, you name it, Ukraine's up to it. Even down to the point where they're just assassinating high-ranking figures of the Russian military just to try and obstruct what Russia's doing in Ukraine, which again just doesn't seem right. What doesn't seem right is the fact that I wouldn't know how to do it, but let's say you get into a chat room on the internet about Russia, and then all of a sudden someone starts talking to you about how you could go about destabilising Ukraine by causing acts of vandalism and terrorism against NATO, the US and other members of NATO. And again, it just seems like total bullshit. I mean, what's the chances of someone convincing you to commit an act of criminal intent against a Ukrainian company or a company that deals with Ukraine on the off chance that you're going to get paid after you've done it? I mean, it just doesn't seem right. What doesn't seem right is the fact that the integrate Russian covert military action by submarines, by shadow fleet ships to destabilise Ukrainian and European communications, as well as putting in the odd arson attempt at a train station or a railway line. They might even be planning assassinations, which, again, it all seems like Second World War material. These are the things that they got up to in the Second World War. This is not what they do in modern warfare. In modern warfare, you don't figure out how to assassinate a general or some other high-ranking official to destabilise a country you're at war with. Just doesn't seem right. What seems right is that you would employ an Oresnik missile and take out the entire Parliament building, as well as the office of the President and his other cronies that are in power with him. Now, if you committed that kind of terrorism, then yeah, you could easily blame Russia, and you could not only blame them, you could react against it, you could use your own methods, but apparently they can't put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. They're putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 6 or 16. And it doesn't seem right. You know, what does seem right is that Russia are fighting the old NATO bloc. They're fighting it because every country in NATO are supplying Ukraine with weaponry, not just guns and ammunition, but artillery pieces, tanks, armoured personnel carriers, armoured fighting vehicles. They're included in that. Air power, F-16s, Rafale jets. They're involving everything into it. And yet, they moan because Russia doesn't seem to be making as much progress as they thought they would do. Now, when you're fighting 29, 30 countries in one hit, then it's obvious you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to the point where everything becomes hard work. So let's look at it from the British, from the UK standpoint. Sir Keir Starmer brought in legislation saying that he can interdict any Russian shadow fleet ship, not only board it, but confiscate it and its cargo. Now, it's done it once or twice, but it's only done it with the help of the US. And the US had to chase a ship halfway across the Atlantic into the Irish Sea, where they was able to board it, and Britain allowed its air bases to be used in committing these acts of piracy, which again seemed to have given Starmer, you know, that boost of energy he needed that he doesn't seem to be getting in Parliament. At the moment in Parliament, he's under pressure about Mandelstein. Now, Mandelstein, no matter what you think of him, he is what they say he is, which is the Prince of Darkness. Everything he does not for the benefit of the Labour Party, but for the benefit of his part of the Labour Party. You know, he was the one responsible for Starmer, for McSweeney, for can't think of his name, but he was the one who got all their jobs, and in return for getting them their jobs, he received in return anything he wanted, including the ambassadorship to the United States of America, even though he wasn't just a close friend of Donald Trump. He was a sexual deviant like Donald Trump, which is probably why they got on so well together, because he was involved in I wouldn't say nefarious, I'd just say deviant behaviour on Epstein Island. So when you look at it like that, why wouldn't Donald Trump give him the thumbs up? Because if your partner's in crime, your partner's in crime, you agree. If someone says something, you'll agree with it. Not because it makes sense, but because your partner's in crime. Now, there isn't just Mandelstein and Trump involved with Epstein. You've got Lutnick, you've just got more or less everyone involved in the US cabinet have all spent time on Epstein Island, even down to Clinton. I mean, his wife never went. I mean, she probably didn't go because she could get her kicks in America rather than on Epstein Island. But she doesn't seem to have that much to say about her husband Bill going there. In fact, she makes excuses for him, saying that, oh, he only went there for the Clinton Foundation. He never went for any other reason. He didn't go to abuse children or anyone of an illegal age. She just stuck up for him, which to me I find just horrible. I mean, if I had a sexual deviant in my family, if they didn't just disappear one day, they certainly wouldn't be being allowed to carry on that behaviour. They'd be finished. Yet in America it seems the norm, you know. Maybe it's because that's where all porn movies are made, all the snuff movies and all the other shit what goes on in America. Maybe it's because of that. Maybe they don't see nothing wrong with it. The same as Prince Andrew never seen nothing wrong with having sex with a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old. Even though it's illegal in America, it's not in England. So he can stand there and state categorically that he's not done nothing wrong, because if he was in England, he wouldn't have done nothing wrong. But the fact of the matter is, he wasn't in England. He was in the US, where laws are different. Now, this is where we get back to Sir Keir Starmer. Sir Keir, he was the Director of Public Prosecutions. He got the job in 2008 at the behest of Tony Blair. And I'd say his wife played a big part in it, because she worked with him for 10 years at Doughty Street Chambers. So he gets a job as the DPP. And 2 years later, Mandelstein has to resign because he's been caught passing what you call sensitive documents to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, as I said, sensitive means secret. Now, in 2010, when he was caught doing that, the majority of Britain's banks were up for sale. Not just the banks, but all their assets. And what a coup that would be for Epstein to be able to buy into a number of British banks. Now, no one seems to know if he did or he didn't. No one seems to know nothing. No one seems to even know what paperwork Mandelstein handed over to Epstein. But I guarantee you, It wasn't the kind of paperwork that you would get out the Daily Mirror or the Telegraph or the Economist or any other general tabloid of the day. I would say it was so sensitive that he had to resign. But again, why did he have to resign? Why didn't the DPP, who at the time was Sequoia, work out that what he'd done is committed a crime? But this is where the Houses of Parliament differ from any other institution, is if you break the rules, you're all right. You're not getting tried as a criminal because you only broke the rules. You didn't break the law. Even when he was stealing tens of millions of pounds worth of expenses, they never committed a crime. They only broke the rules. And to me, it's just, it's disgusting. I mean, any other criminal who commits a crime, as soon as you get caught, you're getting tried with it. You get tried, you go to court, you either get convicted or you don't. The chances are you're going to get convicted. You get convicted, you go to prison. Yet none of them got arrested. None of them got tried with a crime. None of them got convicted or acquitted. What happened is, oh, they just broke the rules. So if you break the rules, you're all right. Which is where Mandelstein came into it. Now, when Mandelstein in 2010 resigned, that was the third time he'd resigned. He resigned in 1998. They'd been in power 12 months and he'd borrowed £400,000 off a colleague, yeah? Now, I don't know how much money he was on in 1998. Maybe he was on £80,000-90,000 a year, which works out like what? £1,500 a week, say. So how's he going to repay that loan? Unless that loan was backhand money from someone like Jeffrey Epstein. Because however you look at it, the smell of Jeffrey Epstein is all over Mandelstein. And yet everyone just seems to go on about, oh, why did you make him ambassador? Well, how about he made him ambassador? Because he's terrified of Mandelstein. Mandelstein probably had stuff on him concerning the free Ukrainian rent boys. I mean, I find it not just, I mean, it's just unreal. How can free Ukrainian models, yeah, know what car he used to own, what property he used to own, and what property in the 1990s he used to own? Now, that seems to me like, not like a Russian offence or planned by the Russians. That seemed personal. And I say personal because why else would they attack him? Why else would they burn his car, his previous property, and a property from the 1990s? Why? Hey, there has to be a reason why. Yet they pleaded guilty, and when you plead guilty, that means any mitigating circumstances you then rely on to cover your ass has to be believed. So if they decided to say, oh yeah, I just set fire to that car, I didn't know whose it was, it has to be believed. Same as his property, and same as a property from the 90s. If I didn't know it belonged to Starmer, you have to believe me, even though the court knows, and you know, and your barrister knows, and the prosecution know that it's a load of bollocks. So we'll never get to the bottom of it. What we should get to the bottom of is, why are they not in Ukraine? Why are they not fighting for the Ukrainian army? Maybe when they get sentenced, either this week or in 3 or 4 weeks, when they've had their, what do you call them, when they've had their probation reports done, they will be deported. The chances are, will they then be sent to the front line? I doubt it very much. I doubt it, because I believe that whatever these people did to Starmer, they did at the behest of the Ukrainian government, not the Russian government. The Russian government would have waited till he was in the car or in the house or in his previous house, and they would have killed him. I say that not because I know what they would do, but it just seems reasonable, doesn't it, that that's what they would do. Yet nothing has been said, there's been no reporting on it. Seems to be that the media have all collectively closed ranks to stop any reporting on it, even though they know the truth of the matter. And considering we're supposed to have a free press and free speech, just doesn't make sense. What makes sense, yeah, is that, what do they call it, Section 14, where they can just stop all reporting on something, I think they used it in the Second World War, which again reminds me of all these covert actions the Russians are taking, you know, blowing up train lines that have direct links to Ukraine, blowing up trains, blowing up factories, haulage companies, anything that has anything to do with Ukraine seems to be a target. Yet we're not told that the targets, or this was blown up, or that was attacked, or this was attacked. What they do is they put a load of military activities like submarines cutting communication cables and shadow fleet ships tearing communications cables up with their anchors, and then they throw in an arson attack on a mall in Warsaw, then a train track on its way to Ukraine, then a train. They even put in assassination plots. I mean, who is it worth assassinating in Ukraine that Russia can't do it itself personally? It has the weaponry, it has the soldiers, it has the intelligence people. Anything it needs, it's got. So why would it be using criminals? It seems that anyone using criminals, I would say, were British or NATO based, because that makes more sense to me. You know, the fact that Britain could use a criminal, yeah, and get him to do something with immunity. I mean, I heard the other day that 2 criminal types who, after being arrested for committing the crimes, admitted to being groomed online by what could possibly be a Russian agent, so to speak, who offered them money when they've committed the crime. Now, you only commit crime when there's money involved, not when you promise money. I mean, I could promise anyone anything. Doesn't mean they're going to get it. So what's the chances of someone blowing up something or setting fire to something and then receiving payment for it? Seems like a load of BS. I mean, for starters, how are you going to get paid? You're going to get paid through a Swiss bank account, eh? Or a offshore tax haven. How are you going to get paid? How much are you going to get paid? It seems like you're only going to get paid peanuts. I can't even begin to imagine what you would be paid. I can only see it as it's like a, it's just like a load, it's like a scam, you know. If we add that to that to that, and then throw in that and that, then it all looks official. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, look at Starmer fighting for his political life. He's got no, you know, there's not a chance on this earth he's going to resign. You know why? Because pretty soon he's going to declare martial law, just like the green T-shirt in Ukraine. And the minute you declare martial law, that's it, you're in power till martial law is undeclared. If we decide to go to war against Russia, how long do you think the war's going to last? It's not going to last weeks or months. You're talking years. The war in Ukraine has lasted longer than the Second World War. So, all I can see is that the war will last. I can't even begin to put a date on it. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But whatever length of time you put on it, the chances of NATO winning when they can't even beat Russia collectively in Ukraine just seems pointless. Yet we've got an ex-Nazi, and regardless of what you say, von der Leyen is a Nazi. She says that her father or her grandfather was a diamond dealer in Belgium. Well, you don't deal in diamonds in Belgium unless you're dealing for the Nazi government. Merz, he's another ex-Nazi. The same with Stube, the same with Kaya Kallas. I'm not saying that, you know, they was paid up members of the Nazi party. What I am saying is that their ideology is fascism. Yeah? Look at all the fascists in Ukraine, from Zelensky right down to the lowest member of the Azov battalion. They are Nazis, and they behave like Nazis, you know. No retreat, no surrender, we fight to the last man, to the last bullet. Well, how many times have we heard that from the collective West, that this war will be fought to the last Ukrainian man and the last Ukrainian bullet, eh? Because I hear it a lot. And if that is the case, that's as close to fascism as you get. And regardless of whatever, Ukraine can't beat Russia. Russia I'm not saying it's unbeatable, yeah, because nothing's unbeatable, but what it is it is an army and a country that have suffered enormously since Operation Barbarossa in 1941 right up to the present day on the 29th of April 2026. Every day they've suffered. If it's not been one thing, it's been another. Assassinations. You've got America, France, the UK, all offering, I don't know, what do you call it, information where they can attack places of interest in Russia, like oil refineries, oil depots, oil pipelines, you name it. The British, America, Germans, the French, they've all got a hand in it. Even down to the point where we're now hearing that NATO planes are shooting down drones in the Odessa region of Ukraine. Now, obviously, there'll be no confirmation of it, but the chances of it happening are more than likely. You know, we've already seen it happen in Poland. We already know that drones have landed in Finland. We know that the last lot of drones that took off went through Kazakhstan, which was a part of Russia, and no doubt Russia have issued a very strongly worded ultimatum that if it carries on, there won't be any exporting of oil from Kazakhstan or gas to the West, just like Russia's done with the previous deliveries of gas and oil from Kazakhstan. It's now sending them through Russian ports. So if Germany wants to carry on receiving gas and oil, do you think Ukraine's going to be attacking the ports and the infrastructure where it comes from? There's possibilities it will, but there's more possibility it won't than it will. So let's see, eh? Let's see what Mertz has got to say. Oh, and before I go, is there not a thing about our king, King Charles III, eh? Mr. fucking Divpot, being apolitical, meaning he doesn't take sides in political arguments. Yet in Congress, he wholeheartedly declared for the protection of Ukraine from NATO, which is basically a declaration of war. And he got a standing ovation in Congress, just like Zelensky does, eh? Remember that? His standing ovation every time he mentioned Ukraine and protection, standing ovation. Yet our king, our apolitical king, who plays no part in politics, is playing the statesman by declaring that Ukraine needs to be protected. Why? Why does Ukraine need to be protected? Eh? Well, it needs to be protected because as far as Europe is concerned, it's the front line against Russia, which again is a load of BS, because without a shadow of a doubt, Russia could eliminate Ukraine off the face of the European map. I'm sure it has enough missiles, enough drones, enough soldiers for it to conduct what you would call Second World War tactics, which is just steam into Ukraine, kill everyone you see, and at the end of it, you've won. But it's not like that. There's 4 oblasts that they're after, and them oblasts contain Russian citizens, so they're not going to go in and kill them. That's the last thing they're going to do. What they want to do is save as many as they can, and also give themselves a buffer zone to protect themselves from drone attacks that are conducted by not just the British, but the French, the German. Even look at the Ukrainian Flamingo missile, eh? It's a spitting image of the doodle bug from the Second World War, eh? Have you seen it? It just looks ridiculous. Yet, that is apparently built by Ukraine itself. There's not a chance. I mean, the big 3 in Europe, France, Germany and Britain, and I don't even know why Britain is even mentioned in Europe because it's not a member of Europe, but they're building drones for Europe, for Ukraine, and if they're building drones for them, it's because they're involved in attacking Russia. They are after not just demoralising the Russian population, but also just destroying whatever capabilities they have of earning money. Now, I don't care what anyone says. When America reversed the sanctions on Russia, Russia didn't need that money to fight the Ukraine war. Regardless of what Zelensky says, Zelensky will tell you out, you know, he's just an aggressive beggar who wants whatever he can. Now, I know that Russia, it has that much oil, that much gas, that the only people it's hurting are the people who need it most, which are the Far East, Malaysia, Korea, Vietnam. They're countries that need gas and oil. India. So it seems to be making a very big mistake by attacking its so-called allies. Maybe not so much allies where they're allies in name, you know, like, oh yeah, we'll arm the Ukraine or we'll do... No, they're not them kind of allies. They're allies that secretly do deals with Ukraine, just like they have done in West Asia. You know, they've been to the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and they promised that they're able to take down Iranian drones that attack them. I don't think for a minute they can. I think everything they say, every day there's a drone attack in Ukraine, I think they just lie. If they send 200 drones to attack Ukraine, how are Ukraine able to shoot down 180 of them? Hey, it's an impossibility, you know. Maybe 100 of them are decoys. Maybe they shoot down 50 or 60. I don't even think they do that. But let's say they did. And then they had the decoys onto it. It then looks a really big number, doesn't it? But the fact of the matter is, I don't think it is. I think Ukraine, I don't think they can do nothing against the drone attacks. I mean, Russia have just put up the equivalent of Starlink, which means that any drone it sends to attack Ukraine cannot be interfered with. They won't be shot down. They won't be this. They won't be that. I've seen film of plane sending attack drones to attack other drones, and how are they supposed to bring them down? I mean, it's got to be a lucky shot, hasn't it? But there again, the Ukrainians, they seem like supermen to me. They get away with murder. Literally get away with murder. Anyway, I want to go here because can't think of much else to talk to or talk about. But hopefully we'll see where we end up, and take care everyone. Don't forget, if there's anything in this video you like, share, subscribe. Subscribers I'm desperately short of. I would love to be able to talk to some other commentators about what's going on, about what I think's going on, especially British commentators about Starmer and his involvement in the Mandelstein affair going back to 2010, not just 2024, 2010, but we'll take it from there. So if you can, like and subscribe and share, sub-share, just share. Thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.